Look at the adjective. Play.
And I have half the brain that you do. I told you. Oh, God.
Now is the franchise going to take the Viagra?
Gonna put some butts in the seat.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode 104 of Because WCW, the podcast, where the big boys play. My name is the Twisted Genius, Dean A.S., and I am joined as ever by my esteemed colleague, the DAZN. Are you still a sports journalist? Have you been promoted or something these days? It's Liam Happ, everyone.
Technically, I'm still a journalist. I still do some journalism-based work. I do a lot of management as well now. Basically, the managing editor of DAZN News. Content manager at DAZN is my official job title.
He's content manager at DAZN, everyone. Liam Happ.
Yeah,
still a blue tick wanker.
You had to get the insult in there as well.
Absolutely.
But so those who actually use DAZN might actually be aware of the fact that we have the app with all the live fights and other great original content, documentaries, archive fights. My main job at the moment is to oversee a separate sister website that contains written articles and things like guides to how to watch certain fights and things like that. And we have a growing range of written original content, things like pound for pound rankings and like so you have Fury Wilder 3 recently, and we'll have like here's 5 other great trilogy fights, sort of that content like that. And
nice.
It basically helps get people to the site and aware of what a DAZN is.
I see, and how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
DAZN.
You have me for that. You didn't know until you
I didn't. I thought it was
there.
DAZN, like normal people, but
DAZN.
No, it's DAZN.
You said DAZN, didn't you?
DAZN, something, yeah. But
it's like it's a brand new version of a washing up powder that Danny Baker's gonna advertise. DAZN. Let's do the DAZN test challenge thingy bollocks.
Yeah. But aside from DAZN, I believe that you've currently got the place to yourself. Your wife and daughter are away for a few days,
Peace and quiet. Yes.
Peace and quiet. I'm expecting that your Wi-Fi is taking a hammering.
What are you trying
Parental
to say?
controls are off.
What are you trying to say, then?
Getting through the tissues there.
You just don't have the balls to say it, do you?
Wanking himself into a coma, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, you are so crass. How do you still have a mainstream gig? Oh, wait, it's only because of WCW. Fair enough. No, I can confirm that I have not been abusing tissues. I have, however, been abusing the local takeaways. Because as I mentioned to you while we're offline, I enjoy cooking. I'm pretty confident in the kitchen. I can cook some nice things, but I lose a lot of motivation and inspiration if I'm only cooking for myself. So I've like set myself up with supplies for nice light breakfast, nice easy lunches, and then I'm just ordering something of an evening.
No, you see what you got there is you got the opportunity to cook all the things that you like that no one else in your house likes.
I don't have that problem.
You see, I do. I have. I don't know if I'd call them fussy eaters, but I've got a vegetarian stepdaughter or pescatarian stepdaughter, and I've got and my other half. She's not a fan of like a massive, great, big, juicy steak or something. So anytime I've got the place to myself, it's out with the steak, or I'm weird. I like things like lamb's liver, just treat myself to the things that ordinarily I wouldn't be able to cook because I just get looked at strangely. I get looked at strangely most of the time anyway. But
I wasn't going to say anything, but when they're away, I'm guessing you like to wander down to like a Morrison's and have them cut the fillet steak for you, especially.
Just give me the cow.
Just give.
Dear. Hoof it over my shoulder and carry it home.
Listen up, slap nuts. That's right. This is Jeff Jarrett, the chosen one, and you're listening to Because WCW. Now choke on that.
Right. Well, we are back. Apologies. It has been. We didn't realize it has been as long as it has been. It's been a good few weeks since we were last on. We reviewed. I think we had to recover from the trauma of watching Mayhem 1999. That
Maybe,
must
but
have been it.
it's fine because I think everyone just assumed that I'd buggered my laptop again, so that's cool.
Fair enough. Yeah, especially if you've got the house to yourself. And
Here he goes.
there we are.
DNAS,
But
ladies and gentlemen.
we we are we are back with the Nitro Watchalongs, and this episode today is from August the 5th, 1996, and it's a little bit of a symbolic one because on August the 4th, 1996, the 96 Atlanta Olympic Games came to an end, which means that this is the last of the Disney MGM Nitros, which I think I've looked back rather fondly on, especially that great big tree in the middle of the entranceway.
Yeah, do you know, I do like a nice iconic placeholder venue. I know there were certain detriments to the impact zone for TNA, for instance, but I was lucky enough to be able to go to an impact tape in there in 2012. It's a nice like local setup venue, like just for them. Obviously, more recently, people remember Daly's Place for AEW, which,
Yep.
you know, in the face of adversity, it really added some character to, to a lot of their performers and the product as a whole. And I think they were, do you know what? Their content since going back out on the road is 10 times better than it was when they first started the show and they did have crowds.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've always got a soft spot for these sort of fixed venues. I'd like to see a little bit more. I know that as you said, there's downsides to it. You know, certain elements of the crowd get samey, and they can get a little bit repugnant and stuff. You've seen some stuff in news recently about the regulars at NXT Full Sail University, and I know the Impact Zone had some regulars
Yeah.
who weren't very popular. So there's downsides, but I like the charm of of just a venue that is this company's venue. And yeah, we've enjoyed this little run of fixtures. We've had some fun with it, and obviously the last one we did, Dean, was the infamous attack by the NWO.
Yeah, yeah, and it was, as we mentioned at the time, it was it's interesting because they have basically deliberately sabotaged their own show, and the show itself dragged and felt pretty lousy, but it was for a reason of getting the storyline over that the NWO had sabotaged Nitro and ruined the output. So it'd be interesting to see, especially as we're in the same place the following week. It'd be interesting to see on this one, you know, what the reaction is like, what the crowd are like, what the pace and the flow of the show is like.
Yeah, it's a good point to us. You know, they could really make some callbacks to them being there again. So
Yeah.
I can't recall ever watching this show. It doesn't stick out to me. I know certain episodes we do remember from back in the day. This one doesn't really say much to me. Just looking at the
No,
synopsis.
no.
So let's see how it goes.
We will see how it goes. Yes, just before we press play, just want to remind everyone as well, if you're listening to this around about the time of the end of October, beginning of November, that we've often talked about how AEW is kind of the nearest thing we've got to WCW these days. Yeah, both on TNT, both a bit of an alternative to the Vince McMahon show. And just wanted to remind everyone, our friends at Hooked on Wrestling are running some viewing parties for AEW Full Gear 2021. 3 venues for this. It's at Gloucester Green in Birmingham, at the Sports Bar and Grill in Old Street in London, and the Director's Box in Manchester. All of those tickets are on sale right now on the show starting at 9 o'clock, Saturday 13th of November. It goes on until 5 a.m. UK time, but the parties begin at 9 o'clock. Loads of things to do, prizes to be won. It's just such a good atmosphere, such a great laugh. I'll be at the London one. Maybe you will as well, Liam. I know you've been to a few before. But if you want to get tickets for that, then go to hookedonwrestling.co.uk/tickets. That's hookedonwrestling.co.uk/tickets. And there's also tickets there to Royal Rumble viewing parties parties 2022. They have started going on sale in a few venues as well.
And
Right.
it's a Saturday.
And it is a Saturday.
Just like
yes.
Full Gear. And I don't know if you saw the very recent news, Dean, that WWE are doing a lot of Saturday pay-per-views in 2022.
Yes.
So
indeed
happy
they are.
days for Paul and the Hooked On team, because that makes it a lot more appealing than like being absolutely sleep deprived early on a Monday.
Yeah, it's on the one hand it means, as you said, people don't have to take the day off for work and that, but on the other hand it is much harder to find venues to hire out on a Saturday night because they're usually busy with their own stuff anyway. So it's a double-edged sword, I guess, but it's for you and me and for most people in the UK, definitely good that it's on a Saturday. Right, so we are, as I said, looking at the 5th of August 1996 episode of Monday Nitro. The countdown timer is on 000000. You'll be surprised to learn.
Shock.
Should we go for some burning buildings?
I could do with a burning building right about now.
Okay, burning buildings in 3, 2, 1, play. And few explosions, and there they are, and there's still babyface Hulk Hogan.
Still there. You have to
Still
be
there.
patient for the burning buildings, Dean, because first you get the buildings, and then you get the burning.
And
makes
then
you
get
wait for
babyface
it.
Hogan.
Yeah. There'll be no instant gratification to be found here, no sir.
No.
So it has felt like a while since we've done this, hasn't it?
Yeah. And of course, we are starting in the daylight and we will end in the nighttime.
That's a reassuring familiarity. That brings us back to where we were with these things. They've been pretty fun, haven't they? For better or for worse, these tapings.
Yeah, it's I mean, we talked about AEW adapting to the circumstances regarding COVID, pandemic, and that, and this is WCW making a good thing out of a bad situation. They had to relocate because all of their production crew were busy on the Olympic Games, and they went to Disney MGM for 6 weeks or so,
Yeah.
and it's been good fun.
Well, there's been some good matches. There's been some outright weird matches. There's been a tree in the middle of the walkway, in the middle of the aisle.
Yep.
There's been
Still will
those
be there.
weirdly spaced WCW things just behind Larry Zbyszko's head right now.
Yeah. And there's some. Are they the ones, or is it up on the ceiling where
They're the
where the
ones.
NWA put bed sheets over the
Yep.
letters to make it NWO?
Tucked them in nicely.
So they're talking about the 4 empty chairs that are in the front row, and they're talking about a 4th person, but we've only seen 3, and of those 3, only 2 were visible because we only saw Hall and Nash.
Yeah. But boy, did we see Hall and Nash, because this is one of those memorable WCW moments, like with the lawn dart from Nash to Ray, and just a really proper realistic fight for the most part. I know it wasn't completely perfect.
Yeah. And the Zbyszko saying the wrestlers are going to handle their own security.
Is that a euphemism?
So I don't believe so. So here we go. We've got wrestlers patrolling. I'm guessing patrolling the ringside area. And I've got to say, if I wanted security and you gave me Meng the Barbarian, Scott Norton, and Big Bubba, I'd be pretty happy with that. No one's getting past.
This is, I mean, especially for the time frame, this is interesting now to have like a bunch of wrestlers, and they've deliberately picked some of the tougher looking wrestlers on the roster, obviously who aren't big stars. Seeing like the faces of Fear and Scott Norton, who are basically out there, and they're just going to keep an eye out and watch the exits.
Yeah. They are there at ringside. So they mentioned just then that that Rey Mysterio was the one who mentioned about there being another person, a 4th man as they called it. And we are starting with the World Tag Team titles on the line. challengers are the Rock and Roll Express.
Who look way
I
past it
forgot.
even here in 1996, and I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure they were wrestling as recently as last calendar year, probably average
they
of this
were.
year. I'm not
Ricky
privy
Morton was
to.
doing Canadian Destroyer.
Oh Jesus! Well, to be fair, everyone's doing a Canadian Destroyer now, aren't they? That's the thing.
I'm not.
Yeah, you are. There's no need to be modest.
Okay.
I heard that's the reason why Ricky Slatter demands to sit like a few feet further away from you now. He corrected you on something minor and you gave him a flip pole drive. Is that true?
No, it's my terrible body odor.
Ah, fair enough.
Yeah. So here come Harlem Heat, the tag champs. And
Oh,
I
we got
believe
suckers, we got neckbone, we got them all.
apart from that one.
Yeah, that would be Booker T on pay-per-view about 9 months after this.
Right.
And I always think of Sister Sherry's big grin on her face when he makes that slip up.
And
Oh,
Sister
and
Sherry is out here with Colonel Robert Parker.
yes, I was just going to also add, and Mean Gene keeping it super professional, as only we'd expect from him.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we got 4 empty seats at the front row again. They're speculating that that is the NWO.
But then why would they wank money away on those tickets when they're planning on sneak attacks backstage?
Well,
It's not really a misdirect, is it? It's making you expect them showing up.
it is. It's is the answer because WCW?
Oh, almost certainly. It's one of them. It's a cliche that like a lot of wrestling companies have liked to use in similar situations, and the more it gets used, the more people forget the actual purpose, the value of it.
Definitely. And you know the we've got why have we got the Giant defending his title against Sergeant Craig Pittman?
When he's already signed
What?
up to face Hogan at the pay-per-view.
Maybe it's a warm up or something, but
But it gets
it does
better,
make
Dean. We've got Ric Flair versus the Booty Man.
Christ.
So we just have to hope that
Hopefully,
Flair doesn't treat the Booty Babe like she's an air stewardess,
well, I was going to say hopefully Ric Flair is in epic shithousery mode.
as opposed to mid-flight demon mode.
Indeed.
Well, I have not
And
seen the
Rick,
banquet table yet.
not yet. And Ricky Morton's been sent flying by a simple shoulder block from Booker T. And the size difference between these two teams is very, very, very noticeable.
Yeah, I mean, considering that, yeah, you're right. Booker T is deceptively rangy because he spends a lot of his career in with bigger guys, but he's no midget himself, and he's obviously built like a brick shithouse. This is the sort of great selling you'd expect from the Rock and Rolls, isn't it?
Indeed. And Stevie Ray's even bigger.
Really putting over that advantage early on. This is a good old school stuff, and yeah, it's so well done, and they're such pros to Rock and Rolls. You'd be confident that if Booker T were to tag in Stevie Ray right now, it looked like he was going to, but he's not. But if they were to tag in Stevie Ray, you'd trust the Rock and Rolls to be able to do the exact same thing just as well with him, even though we
Well,
know well Stevie Ray's not very good.
do you mean, yeah, I was going to say, do you mean they'd actually be able to make Stevie Ray look competent?
Yeah, I'm very confident of that fact.
Well, they've double teamed Booker, and that seems to have worked. And they've now both clotheslined Booker over the top rope to the floor. And it seems that that is the answer for them to double team Harlem Heat, and that works.
If you think, Dean, we've seen Harlem Heat, and we know they're a good tag team. We know Booker T himself is very, very good as a wrestler. But we have seen them in recent weeks in several matches on these Nitros where there's just been a disorganized mess, as opposed to being actively
Yeah,
bad. It's just been like just a random bunch of confusing stuff happening in the match. Against the Rock and Rolls, you have every confidence that they're going to slot them into a nice formula, keep things logical, keep things basic, and so far we're already seeing that, and it's working.
yep. And we've just come back from a commercial break, and we have quick tags again. So they've got Stevie Ray down on the deck, and now as soon as we've come back from the break, Harlem Heat have taken over. Booker gets tagged in. There you go. Absolutely spot on timing for TV wrestling.
Yes, it still is really weird seeing the wrestlers. They've basically got their backs to the ring post, like watching all the exits, haven't they?
Yeah. So we asked how they were going to sort of acknowledge the story from last week, but also be able to move on. And the answer is having four hard bastards sitting by each ring post.
There's more talk on commentary about this fourth man, because you remember it was one of the attacked wrestlers who's like, there were four of them, and
Yeah, Rey Mysterio.
as you
He,
said, there were actually
yeah,
two, but okay.
yeah. Maybe he got punched so hard he had double vision.
Well, getting your
Yeah,
head
he got
launched into a trailer would do that.
he got taken out by the 7 foot tall Nash twins.
So I'm curious to see how this show pans out. Now we're starting with a pretty good wrestling start, very
Yeah,
easy formula stuff. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we've not really had that sort of a start to the show lately. If I remember correctly, a lot of these recent these Disney taping nitros, they've had the probably the weirdest match of the show start things off, if I remember correctly. So it's a bit more of a solid
yeah,
start at least.
yeah. We've had a few sort of just typical crowd pleasers or matches with wrestlers or teams who can work any type of a crowd, like the Rock and Roll Express, like we've had Dave Taylor and William Regal, I think, Steve Regal.
Well, the good news is even though they're running a pretty decent match, we're going to be treated to more extracurricular between Sherry and Parker outside.
Indeed.
I mean, this has been carrying on for how long? I mean, wasn't it one of the first Nitro Watchalongs that they actually started all this?
Oh yeah, this has been going on for ages. I'm trying to work out what they're saying. And Booker is getting more and more annoyed at the fact that they're having a conversation between the two of them at ringside rather than concentrating on the job in hand. And Booker is saying that he doesn't need the two of them there.
Yeah, more
But yeah, I don't know
drama.
where this is going.
I don't like where it's going.
And was that one of the first spinneroonies in wrestling history?
Mate, that's a good question, actually. I don't remember seeing one on a Nitro. Do you?
No, no, not at all. I think we may have just seen the first spinneroonie from Booker T. Booker goes for a middle rope knee drop, but misses by a mile. And Morton is looking to try and make the tag to Robert Gibson, but he's in the wrong corner.
Crowd chanting.
Does the roll. There we go. And in comes Gibson with the hot tag. Crowds are a bit quiet though. They haven't really reacted, have they?
There were chants. I mean, I think you're right about the overall crowd, but the fact they got some chants even out of this crowd just shows what tag formula does.
Hmm.
You can see there's a lot of kids right on the hard cam, and they're watching. They're not like bored or anything, but they're not making a lot of noise. They're not invested.
And Sherry's just pushed Robert Gibson away from making the pinfall. Parker gets hit. Stevie Ray then boots Robert Gibson in the face. Booker T covers him. And
Booker Ray or
Harley
Stevie
wins.
T?
Yeah. And basically, and Booker T's also said 5 times, I think, there for the tag champ. So I think we've got a time traveling Booker T talking about 5 times and doing the spinneroonie. But basically, Parker and Sherry have proven their worth by being directly involved in the finish.
Yeah, and you'd think that like some of the other wrestlers on this roster would do what Robert Gibson did here, because Sherry comes in, tries to do. Well, I was going to say tries to rake the eyes, but I think Zabisco's right. It was an attempt at a kiss, and he basically just shoves her off. No one's able to do that to a woman though, because her determination to cheat to higher hell is it's just you can't
Cheat at
get
all
past it.
costs.
Yeah, her determination to interfere illegally is just much stronger than Sister Sherry's, it seems.
Clearly. It's time for Mean Gene with the Nasty Boys.
And this is weird because even though it only come out a few months ago, the Nasty Boys seem to be wearing the Tottenham Hotspur away kit. I don't know how that works.
I told you it's the time travel episode of Nitro. That's how.
I've got the closed captioning up for this Nasty Boys promo, and Brian Knobbs has had several of his words in brackets. It just says indistinguishable.
Yes. I think the word was grief. They're getting a lot of grief. Oh, here comes Sting and Luger. So they're kind of talking about how they're friends with Hogan. And Sting is basically Sting and Luger, they're basically asking what's the deal with the Nasty Boys?
Yeah. Knobs and Sags resent being associated with Hogan and the NWO. They say they stand right where they always stand, in Nastyville. Do you reckon we get listeners from there, like with Parts Unknown?
I think Nastyville is part of Parts Unknown. I think it's
a little suburb
it's
of.
it's grouped together.
Yeah. I mean, I
So
say
have
suburb, but Nastyville's not going to have white picket fences, is it really?
probably not. No. So have they just set up a match with Luger and Sting there?
Yeah, but the announcer already advertised it, and then they set it up. So,
Oh, they'd already mentioned it, had they?
Yeah, they ran down
Oh.
the card. That's where I found out about the wonder that is Ric Flair versus the Booty Man that we've got.
Booty Man. Christ.
Did you know Glacier's coming soon?
I'd heard a rumor.
No, he's
There
doing
he
this.
is.
He's doing this martial arts routine ever. Do you think they're showing the same video? Do they make him do this every week? By like week 46, they're like, "Come on, guys, when are you actually gonna put me on the show?"
I like the thought of them bringing him in to do this live every week.
Be like, "Come on, where? Aren't we just gonna get to my day?" They're like, "Shut up and do the martial arts routine." And they're like, "Why can't we use the same one you run every week? Just show a repeat." He's like, "No, shut up and do it again."
Got to be able to do it live.
Got to be able to do it live, but you're not gonna wrestle. No one wants to see you wrestle, Glacier.
No.
Oh,
And of course we've got for Hog Wild coming up next week. Medusa and her Harley against Bull Nakano and her Japanese. Was it a Kawasaki, or I don't know what brand of bike it was, but the winner gets to destroy the loser's bike. And here comes former Because WCW guest Sonny Ono with Malia Hasaka, who is presumably the warm-up opponent for Medusa.
Which is a shame because she's got a lovely little heel sneer about her. And a very clear shut up to the crowd. I'll tell you what, I've seen her on screen for 5 seconds. She carries herself like a villain amazingly.
Yes. Excuse me. So, yep, here comes Medusa in her Stars and Stripes gear.
Wearing that outfit just so we know who the good guy is here, so the
Yeah,
fans can chant their USAs and what have you. So yeah, this match coming up, it's the whole smashing up your opponent's motorcycle,
yeah.
which I don't think ever made it as a stipulation out of Hog/Road Wild, did it?
I don't believe so, no.
Probably never
In fact,
survived this one match. It was probably a one
no,
and done pilot.
yeah. Oh, nice leg sweep from Medusa.
So it's gonna be interesting to see how this one translates to the crowd. They've got the clear roles going from at least,
Yes.
but
And the crowd did seem to be into it from the beginning. I mean, they're cheering Medusa, so because of the obvious signalling of the visuals, as you say, Liam.
and these two can move about that ring. They've got their
Oh
working boots
yes,
on early doors. I
big kick to the ribs.
Yeah, I admittedly don't have a encyclopedia knowledge of Joshi wrestling. So are you familiar with this opponent of Medusa's at all?
Not hugely. I've heard the name. I think she might be US based, but I'm not massively familiar. I have to say.
She did get that trash talk out crisp clear, didn't she? So that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and the old slingshot catching the throat on the bottom rope.
That's one of several moves that like wasn't in American wrestling, but was there in Japan for several years, and then suddenly it started getting. I think like Matt Bloom, A Train was doing that a lot and stuff. Suddenly these things start creeping into the
Mm,
American product, don't they?
yeah, and Hasaka's got like a step over. I thought it was going to be an Achilles tendon hold, but it looks like now she's going for a spinning toe hold, maybe trying to get into a figure four leg lock.
I thought the spinning toe hold would be just the opportunity you were looking for to mention Terry Funk.
Well,
And
I don't like to.
maybe list off a selected list of people who've managed him.
Well, I don't like to drop
A
names.
potted
'Cause,
history, shall we say.
yeah,
No
yeah.
point running through all of them. Just get one or two in there, maybe one.
I mean, to think of two, Gary Hart and myself, maybe. But I don't like to
Who
go
is
on about.
myself? That's a weird gimmick name.
Yeah, it was a short-lived manager.
Ah.
Getting some good. Oh, like a variation of an Indian deathlock now.
That does look painful, doesn't it?
Mm. And then Shivani's now speculating that she's basically trying to soften up Medusa for the pay-per-view on Sunday.
Yeah, it's that classic go-home show trope, isn't it?
Yeah,
Makes you wonder if Nakano's on the card as well. Would only be fair, surely.
you would. Yeah, but when's wrestling been fair? Let's have a quick check. I can confirm there is no Bull Nakano match.
Wrestling really is weird, isn't it? Oh, a limo's arrived, Dean.
A limo.
A limousine.
Has it got Randy Savage clinging to the roof still?
I don't know, but I can confirm that Macho Man Randy Savage is crazy.
He's out of control, Liam. That's what I've heard.
He is.
It
But
was
then,
the most reckless activity on a car roof since Stuart McCall celebrated Bradford City's promotion.
Sting and Lex Luger weren't concerned about that because they were out here asking, "What's the deal with the Nasty Boys?"
Yep, they
Which was a little bit
legit
weird.
were asking what the deal was.
I mean, if I was going to send someone out to ask questions of people's loyalty and consistency, I'd probably think of a better duo than Sting and Lex Luger. Oh wow!
And Osaka has won because Sonny Ono was holding Medusa's legs down to stop her kicking out.
No, I
And the
didn't see
crowd are
that coming.
booing the hell out of him.
That woke me up.
Well, he's planted the seed of doubt in the fans' mind because he will be ringside with Bull Nakano, and he has just directly interfered to cost Medusa the match. So you're right, not the usual way of doing things, but certainly a very good way of doing things.
So up next is the
Benoit is up
Horseman.
next.
Yeah. So that's going to be one of the interesting parts of this ongoing storyline. Is we've had the New World Order actively target the more established heels of the roster. So it'll be interesting to see how the Arn Andersons and that react. Because I don't know if it'll be this week, but I do know there should be at some point. There's a pretty famous Arn Anderson promo, and our timing for getting to it should be pretty good because obviously everyone's really hot about that infamous reference to pulling out a Glock gun on AEW TV, and you can see some vague similarities to this promo that he does. It's a really good one. So I'm hoping it's on this episode. Maybe it's on a future episode. I don't know.
We're just seeing Benoit getting attacked by Dean Malenko at a
Who is
previous match.
who is the mercenary of the Dungeon of Doom? Apparently, he's been paid off by Jimmy Hart, right?
I believe so. So, who is Benoit up against?
Still got the same guys outside the ring keeping an eye out, which is a good touch.
I recognise that music. That's Alex Wright. Yes, there he is. Do you think he hated that music, Alex Wright?
Maybe he did after a while, but then again, especially if you remember how Mayhem 1999 worked in our most recent episode, after a little bit of time having to work as Berlin and doing some of those so-called storylines, I'm
Oh
sure
God.
he welcomed it back when him and Disco were the Boogie Nights at the end of WCW's run.
Oh man, I forgot how bad that match was. Poor Benno, making him watch that.
Yeah, but it was funny. Why should we have to suffer alone, Dean?
Oh yeah. Well, we don't suffer alone because our listeners suffer with us by listening to our torment. I mean, I'd like to think that when we say how atrocious Mayhem 99 is, it makes several people rush to their networks to watch what we've been talking about and suffer with us. But
Yeah.
maybe I'm just a delusional fool.
Well, when we pointed out that All Out 2021 was the highest non WWE buy rate since Mayhem '99. I think watching Mayhem '99 and remembering what that downfall of WCW was like, it's not so much to say it's like a huge achievement per se for AEW, just what a low bar it was, and just how
Yes.
welcome having something decent back is. See, I wasn't
Okay.
lying. It is Ric Flair and the Booty Man later. You're excited, aren't you?
Well, I'm interested to see if Ric Flair is able to squeeze. Well, he should be able to squeeze a decent match out of the Booty Man. I mean, bear in mind, Ric Flair, when he was the NWA World Champion, he would go to all the different territories and face the local champion, who a lot of the time was the promoter, who was shit, and would make a decent like 60-minute main event out of things. So I have every confidence that Ric Flair will be able to drag a decent match out of the Booty Man.
I hope that Ric Flair knocks the Booty Man out cold with brass knuckles in the middle of the ring, drags him to the corner just so he can put his feet on the rope for the cover, and then rakes his eyes after the 3 count. That's what
It's
I'm
what we've
hoping
all
for.
come here for.
Yeah. And then goes to the banquet table.
So we see the limo again. Who's in it? They're wondering if it's the fourth man, this mysterious fourth man that Rey Mysterio talked about. Is it Hulk Hogan in there? Speculation is running rife.
That's that. Please don't change the channel suspense they're trying to build with this fourth man thing, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
What I like, and one of my bigger fears about the current back and forth between two major companies is you don't want all this talk about ratings or demos or whatever to consume them, because that's when the writing, the booking gets really short-sighted. Some of this stuff is just so easy to forget because it had such a short tail purpose. Keep people watching your show that Monday, and then the next week it doesn't matter. Just do
Mm,
whatever you got to do that week, and that's what led to a lot of this WCW stuff that we loved, having a really that short expiry date on it. Really,
mm.
see,
When you can book your show, plan your show out with the big hits that you want, and then just drop them in at the times that you don't want people changing channels, and then
yeah.
you get the best of both worlds. But yeah, I think, and what we saw with WCW is, as things got worse, they would panic and they would go for what they thought might be a short-term fix, which never never really worked for them.
And obviously their interpretation of what should be done to fix this also had a heavy influence from the dozen wrestlers on the roster who had creative control. So it
Yeah,
weren't even a
I mean,
clear direction then.
no, that's something that Lance Storm told us about a few episodes ago when we spoke to him, that long term planning was impossible because of that creative control, and that they would literally plan Nitro one week to the next, that short term.
Mm. Yeah, it really feels like with the nature of the contracts and the way they had to dive in week after week with Nitro and the Monday Night Wars, they sold their soul, didn't they, to give us a few years of a hot product,
Yeah,
which is a shame. But then you do have to wonder if we could ever get anything as good as this if they hadn't. You'd like to think there was a like answer in the middle,
but if there was, we never saw it.
but in the current situation, to draw that comparison back, I'm actually pretty happy with the sort of stuff we get. If you think about it, we've got like an AEW product at the minute that is able to rotate main events each week, and you're getting like pretty much everyone on the roster has had not just a main event match on Dynamite, but a significant one.
Mm,
Think of guys like the Best Friends having their feud enders with like Santana and Ortiz, and Kip Sabian and Miro, and in these big matches and all that. you just get so many different takes of it. Randomly, you get Ken to show up in the main event. So they've still got that element of surprise thanks to the quote unquote forbidden door. That I know your
Yeah.
friend of mine, Doug Williams, isn't a fan of as a phrase. He's
It's a
he's
good marketing
yeah,
phrase.
he's right to an extent where this thing has been a concept, but I would argue that this is absolutely the right time to really sprinkle that mystique on it, because we've been forced into a homogenized product for so long now that you can
Mm,
make a big deal about it being a little bit more open network and a little bit more uh, of a collaboration. It has that aura about it, so you might as well milk it for every penny.
definitely. And I think, if you've got big companies working together against a common foe, then everyone is where everyone gains from it. It's good
And
for fans, good for the companies.
it might be the end, hopefully, of this whole creative has nothing for you as well, because you get certain guys like Chris Daniels for some reason springs as an example, Christian Cage a little bit as well, currently doing most of the stuff at Impact, whereas there's probably not a lot of room for them to do anything significant on Dynamite at the moment. And there's a lot
Mm,
of other guys who could easily head I'd love to see them send Arn Anderson's son Brock out to Japan for some seasoning. That would be good. He'd make a very good Gaijin, I think, with his
yeah,
history and his style and the look about him. He's very old school, isn't he?
yeah, very much like David Finlay went over there and learnt his trade in
Mm.
Japan, really, as the son of a legend in Finlay. So it'd be a similar kind of thing there,
And
definitely.
and now he's in Impact, and you could very much see him in AEW one day. But everything, like the old
Absolutely,
territorial
yeah,
days, it could stay very fresh as a result.
yeah, yeah. Just move people around, and it's like with even in WCW days, because we were talking about this once before. I'm sure that Thunder being like the secondary show, the B show, whatever you want to call it, wasn't it Jimmy Hart running that, and and
Oh,
they
here's Jimmy
basically had
Hart.
talking of Jimmy Hart, yeah, and
Is this
they
the same as
basically had
last
their
week?
own storylines. I'm wondering, yes, because Jimmy Hart was the one who alerted everyone of the problems,
No, he's just getting into an argument with woman.
and about Elizabeth.
He said she is a human mannequin. I think he referenced to Elizabeth.
I think so.
Oh, it's actually trying to
Ah,
divert her back to Kevin. We're into work shoot territory, Dean.
we are into work shoot. He's trying to get woman to come back to Kevin Sullivan, which most people probably aren't even going to know what's going on about. And now Dean Malenko has got woman by the arm and is trying to drag her away. Benoit has seen what's going on, leaps onto Malenko.
And Malenko impressively caught the plunger there,
Mm,
but they're going toe to toe now, and that's the end of the match. There's the bell.
yeah, Benoit's been counted out. So
Schiavone doesn't have a clue. Has the bell gone? No, it hasn't. Yes, it has.
go on, run him into the tree.
They're fighting by the tree,
Yes,
Dean.
he's run him into the tree.
Oh my
No one has
days.
touched that tree, but on the last Nitro at Disney, they've finally used the tree as a weapon,
I can't believe they'd stoop so low. That is almost as much sacrilege as wrecking Ric Flair's banquet table.
using nature as a weapon. And it's not even the Nature Boy.
You just need Jim Ross to fire off a line about how in a battle between a human body and a tree, the tree wins.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
shut up about that limousine, Tony.
what was good though was that Shivani said that people are milling around the limousine, but the subtitles that I've got here said that people are smelling around the limousine. I can just imagine all these people just like sniffing the limo.
And that has just given me my clue as to who is in the limo. It's Mango. Mango is in the limousine.
Never mind that shit. Here comes
I
Mango.
really fancy some mango now. I had tandoori chicken for dinner, so I could have done with like a mango lassi or something.
Oh, nice.
No, do you know what I did have for the first time in years that I used to always have like once every couple of months? I had a few Momo as a appetizer.
Momo, are they the little
Momo,
pastry
the
things or
little
something?
spicy lamb dumplings. Yes, huge fan of those.
Oh,
I think were they Nepalese? I think I don't know.
yeah, they're not Indian. I know that much.
But most places you go, you get a good like hybrid. There's usually a few different types of cuisines on one menu, and I'll never complain about that because it allows me to get things like a Bangladesh shatkora curry, which is always nice. You ever had a shatkora?
I think so. It's got a funny citrus fruit of some sort
Very
in it, hasn't it?
grapefruity,
Yeah,
very similar to a grapefruit, the shatkora. That's a nice curry to have every now and then, I think.
I do like chicken or lamb meti with the fenugreek leaves, fresh fenugreek leaves. They're lovely.
Yeah,
Anyway, here comes Randy Savage, and do you know what? He's out of control.
really? Well, I'm looking forward to him facing Steve Regal, to be fair. You would like to
This,
think that even if they slid into the Macho Man formula, Regal would still be able to put his own little touch with his unique offense and Savage's selling. It'd probably be the most entertaining Macho Man formula match we've seen on Nitro so far.
well, I was going to say Savage and Regal on paper sounds like a bit of a clash of styles, but I just get this feeling that these two are going to like mesh tremendously because both of them are such great old
Yeah.
pros.
Plus, the aforementioned Macho formula would work a treat because
Mm,
Savage will spend minutes at a time doing nothing but selling. And then he'll make the comeback with very, very simple, safe moves, like the axe handles, like the knees to the back, and then the big elbow. So
yeah.
anyone can slot into that. I feel like if I was around during Savage's prime, I feel like he could hold my hand during the Savage formula, and I wouldn't look too pathetic. I'd be sucking
Oh,
wind, but he'd get me through it with a Macho Man formula. That's how good a little autopilot is. I know that's what we've referred to it sometimes as, isn't it? It's like a wrestling
mm.
autopilot. Is there anyone in the modern day, Dean, that strikes you out as having their own little 5, 6, 7 minute formula that they'll just slot into on TV or elsewhere?
Oh, I'd have to have a think about that. I'm sure there must
I
be.
think maybe Randy Orton could be the closest. Because I know he definitely has a certain routine about some of his matches, doesn't he?
Mm. Yeah, I mean Bret Hart often and Ric Flair often had certain formulas they follow. But anyway, this match so far, this it has been all Regal, and it has been Regal using his technical mat wrestling on Savage, and feeling very very smug and very happy about it.
His facial expressions are second to none. And he's drawing a louder reaction we've had so far from this crowd that has not been terrible, but they've definitely not been feverish either, have they?
No, I think that's fair to say. Savage is now responding to Regal's mat work by raking Regal's eyes across the ropes and
Turnabout is
choking him
fair
with his
play,
boot.
as Gorilla Monsoon would say.
Indeed.
Baby faces are allowed to cheat if they've been cheated on.
Yes. Something that the wonderful Kent Walton, British wrestling commentator, would often say back in the days of World of Sport. That the referee would be letting him get away with it in retribution. Or big forearm uppercut from Regal.
Well, we've got
And
the
another one.
countdown, Dean, to hour number 2. Do you remember
Aha.
how these things used to work before Netflix? Or I should say wrestling parlance, I should say fight.
trying to work out what the crowd are chanting.
Is that a macho chant?
It sounded like Virgil, but I don't think they're chanting that.
Yeah, I strongly doubt that.
You strongly doubt that they're chanting for Virgil. Apparently, both Bischoff and Heenan aren't around. They just haven't. They haven't turned up to work. Presumably, they don't think it's safe.
Oh no, we know that Bobby Heenan pretty much told them on air that he was leaving until things were safe. So we know that. And there you go, Shivon is recapping that. The Bischoff situation's curious.
Mm. Well, he's already been powerbombed through a stage by them, hasn't he? And some great forearms in elbows in the corner from Regal. Great facials, and Macho Man's firing back. And Sting and Luger are now walking to ringside. So Luger and Sting are sitting down in two of the four empty chairs left by whoever left them.
And fans are just coming to run over to get handshakes and
Sting is man spreading on the seats there.
yeah, I mean if there's 2 seats each, you sit like there's 2 seats each. That's the rule, isn't it?
I believe so. Here we go. Macho Man's firing back now. I think we're coming to the end of the formula.
This reminds me of when I'm on a train and I sit on the outside seat of it to try and block off access to the other one. And if someone like hovers over me, I'll look up at them and growl. You know, do not sit near me. I'd rather stand up than have a stranger sit near me.
I once accidentally discovered a great strategy of making sure people don't sit next to you on the train, which was to read a book about Joseph Fritzl.
Ah, I thought you was going to fit in your second wank yourself into a coma of the episode.
No, it's
But that
frowned
works
upon on the
too.
train. But I'm sure, yeah, it probably would.
Yeah, masturbation is frowned upon, but reading a book about Fritzl is crossing the line, apparently.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the one. Here we go. Big slam. We know what Savage is going for. Let's wait for the crowd pop.
Fancy an elbow, Dino?
Oh, yes, please.
Sting wants it.
With chutney and poppadoms. Bang.
Now we might see what the deal is with Sting and Luger, but not like that. In this instance, there's actually a different deal. Did they just come out to watch the end of that one match?
Yep.
Or are they going to the limo?
Ah. They are going to the limo.
Oh, here we go.
Sting has opened the door. I'm presuming there's no one in there because
the door wasn't locked. Someone just could have opened it.
Oh, what have we got here? We've got a bouquet of flowers.
It's a wreath.
A wreath.
Condolences on the death of WCW. Now, come on.
I told
R.D.
you
Reynolds' book wasn't
Nitro.
that bad. R.D. Reynolds and Brian Alvarez's book was not that bad. It does not need a wreath of condolences.
Okay, we've now had Booker T with the Spinneroonie saying 5 times. We've had the Nasty Boys wearing the 2021 Tottenham Hotspur third kit, and now we've got the death condolences on the death of WCW. This is the time travel episode of Nitro.
And Mean Gene has taken one of Vince McMahon's old powder blue suit jackets.
Aha.
Oh. Savage gets next. Oh, is it? Fair enough. It looked a bit sky blue to me, but never mind. Savage cannot go to Hog Wild, but he gets next after the pay-per-view of the
Aha.
world title. The closed captioning, by the way, is really struggling with Savage.
It really is, isn't it?
Nice clear dig it though. So they've got the
Sting
reef in the
thought
ring there.
yeah.
Condolences on the death of WCW. I mean, if they survived the mini movies with Cheatham the evil midget, I think they're going to survive one sneak attack.
You think so?
Yeah.
So we've got the 3-man WCW team from Bash at the Beach '96 in the ring with Mean Gene.
It's they're trying to milk this promo, aren't they?
Yes.
Oh, is this Sting gonna smash the bouquet?
Sting says WCW is alive and well.
Oh, Stinger.
Oh, Sting sees a very long and healthy life in WCW.
Fuck's sake, Sting, you jinxed it.
Yeah,
They're gonna kick a field goal with the flowers.
into the crowd.
Oh, so
So
you got Sting holding it in place.
is he
Savage is
going to
gonna
take it
punt.
away like Charlie Brown? No,
It's good. It's good.
it is good. Oh, I wanted Sting to whip it away and watch Macho Man fall on his back
Yeah,
and
and
go,
then smash him over the
oh,
head with it,
yeah,
and then join the New World Order.
oh yeah. There
Because
is
fuck
that.
it, everything else is going topsy turvy in this episode. So that limo driver had the clear directive from the bad guys. I want you to take this empty limo to the show. When they
Put
get
this,
the
yeah,
flowers out of the back, you can fuck off.
yeah.
Your hero and mine is up next.
Imagine if they never got the wreath out of there and he was just sitting around for like days on end.
He'd still be there now.
Yeah, just starving.
What do you mean? It'll be like, what do you mean there's no WCW? What do you mean it's all elite wrestling now?
Be like one of those people who fall into a coma and then wake up 20 years later.
That would be one hell of a gimmick. Can you imagine if someone showed up on Dynamite trying to carry out like an errand for a WCW bad guy? So
I
yeah,
do
I've come
remember,
here to stick it to Goldberg. It's like, dude, Goldberg's not here.
I do remember a few years ago when Spud finished with TNA, but before he joined the WWE as Drake Maverick, he did a gimmick and it was called something like Spud 2000. And it was where he'd taken a knock on the head and thought that it was the year 2000. And obviously, being done by Spud, it was tremendous because everything he does is tremendous.
Yeah, that's news to me. That sounds really good. Oh, here, let us take you to another WCW show with copious amounts of Ric Flair cheating.
Oh, yes. Now it's Flair and Guerrero, isn't it, for the pay per view?
And he cheats on Guerrero. He backs off and apologises for beating up the jobber. So what does Eddie Guerrero do like a moron? He turns his back on him. Oh, the jobber was Chavo Guerrero. Must be one of his first
Yeah,
appearances.
must be. Yeah, we haven't covered Hog Wild '96. Yeah, we haven't done any of the Hog Wild Road Wild shows, have we?
No, and although sometimes we do choose something deliberately bad, I think one of the main reasons we haven't done the Hog or Road Wild shows is because they are pretty much uniformly awful.
Yes. So what you're saying is we're not going to be reviewing it in the timeline fashion.
Yeah,
Probably for the
there'll
best.
be better. There'll be better shows to slot into that.
Yeah. Why is Mean Gene dressed like a university professor in that interview?
He's bringing it with the suits across this telecast.
And the bow tie. Glasses and bow tie for Mean Gene.
Oh, it's
So
that timeless entrance theme I can hear of the Booty Man.
don't forget the fact that he's accompanied by the Booty Babe.
I would say that this gimmick is hideously dated, but honestly, I can't remember an era of wrestling where this was okay.
Hmm.
God bless Kimberly for having to sell this.
Poor Kimberly.
How much Charlie do you think Ed Leslie has to get through to carry out this gimmick?
I can't possibly comment.
And I can make comments like that because when a guy causes a big anthrax scare and it turns out it's just his personal stash, they can't really accuse me of slander.
I'm not familiar with that story.
Oh, I can't believe you haven't heard that. Right. You take it with Flair's entrance while I dig this gem up, I hope.
Uh,
Maybe it's just a
okay.
fever dream and I am guilty of slander, who knows?
I do have a Brutus Beefcake story from
You
the
have about
Independents.
5 dozen, and I'd love to hear them all again, honestly. Never feel ashamed to repeat them because they're brilliant.
Here comes Flair with woman who is looking menacing, Elizabeth who is just looking vacant, and Deborah McMichael as well.
I can't believe Jimmy Hart actually lampshaded that by saying you're out here hanging out with a mannequin. They just say it right to her face, and Elizabeth don't give a shit. She's like, yeah, they're still paying me. I don't care.
Yeah.
Never liked
So
this job anyway.
so here we go. The question is, can Flair or Anderson's coming out as well now with a chair in hand and his arm all bandaged up from the attack. But yeah, he's keeping an eye out for Ric Flair and the ladies, obviously. But yeah, can Ric Flair carry the Booty Man to a decent match or a watchable match? I mean, we're not after a 5-star classic. And he started in the corner with punches and chops. And Booty Man is selling it, unlike a lot of other people would. How are you getting on with your Google search, Liam?
Oh, it's confirmed, all right. So I'm going to read this excerpt from the Boston Herald from 2004. He
Okay.
was the peck perfect model for a toy action figure and a cartoon character puzzle, but it's former pro wrestling giant Brutus the Barber Beefcake who's gone to pieces. I love newspaper copy. Um, Beefcake. These days, Edward Leslie, 46 of Winchester, voluntarily checked into a treatment program Monday, according to a source, after cocaine he admitted was his created an anthrax scare at the MBTA's downtown crossing subway station. Sources said the man, who acquired his stage name for hacking off the hair of his enemies in the ring, had been working there part-time as a fare collector, a job that pays $25,000 a year. So,
So basically, if you what city was this again?
somewhere in
Boston.
Boston.
So basically, if you lived in Boston in 2004, 8, if you lived in Boston in 2004, there is a chance that you might have had your ticket taken by Brutus the Barber Beefcake off his tits on Colombian marching powder?
We should ask former guest and friend of the podcast, Dave Doyle, if he has ever had his fare collected by a
Yes,
coked up Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
yes. Or as my other half accidentally called him the other night, Brutus the Barber Cheesecake.
That's a better name, to be fair.
Yeah.
So,
Heenan's turned up.
yeah. And he's saying the presence of some of the boys from the back has convinced him, I think, to belatedly do his shift. But he doesn't know
So
where
he's,
Eric Bischoff is.
yeah. So he's turned up. So he's basically thought it's safer in the dressing room area than out front. But he turned up.
Strange logic. The booty man went
Isn't
for his
isn't that like
finisher.
me? Oh, sorry. Go for it.
Yeah, he went for his finisher, the high knee. Do you get it?
Yeah, yeah.
And only found the turnbuckles, which has hurt his leg. And now we've got the figure four. And you'll be pleased to know, listeners who are not watching along, that Ric Flair is grabbing the top rope for leverage.
And now Benoit and McMichael have leapt in the ring, and while the booty man is locked in the figure four, they are beating the ever-loving snot out of him.
Yeah. While their man Ric Flair had a huge advantage in the match, and Flair doesn't give a monkeys.
Okay, so the other guys are still on the outside, keeping an eye out for the outsiders. The referee's been thrown out the ring.
Yeah, they're not going to get involved in business as usual. If the Horsemen are going to stage an attack, that's seen as within the ecosystem. But
Plus, of course, the booty man used to be the Zodiac in the Dungeon of Doom, so they don't care if something happens to him. He left them.
oh wow, and Schiavone is framing this as a message to the NWO. They're saying they know the connections between Ed Leslie and Hulk Hogan, so they are really putting it on him bad. And
By
now I
that, do
think
they
about
mean?
it, this must actually be the last appearance of the Booty Man, because I don't know if you remember, he actually shows up as Ed Leslie at the end of Hog Wild with a
No, I
birthday
don't.
cake for Hogan. Do you remember?
I've tried to eliminate most things
You
from
did the
Hog
right
Wild, but
thing,
I have
to be
to.
fair.
Yeah. Oh, Mean Gene is the voice of reason.
Oh, this is the promo.
Aha.
Intense pain is a wonderful thing, Gene Oakland. Your life flashes before your eyes. Things that are the most important to you become crystal clear. You start to begin to learn the meaning of life. Last week, when they stuffed me in that ambulance, and I looked across and I saw Flair, Sting, Woman, Bagwell, and myself, I realised that we were people brought together not by philosophy but by necessity. And I started to think, New World Order, New World Order, where have I heard that? And I remembered in the good book it says when a New World Order is put into place, it signals the beginning of the end of time. Well,
Well, the end of
WCW is our
WCW.
world. Yeah. It's where we live and breathe, and if you want to destroy it, Hogan and the Outsiders, you've already made a mistake that jumps off the page. You're going to take a baseball bat to a horseman, finish the job. Because there's one rule of gang fighting. See, we are the original gang and we're the most vicious in all of professional wrestling history. They send one of yours to the hospital, you send one of theirs to the morgue.
Oh,
That is
nice.
one of my all-time favourite arm promos, and I felt rather than just sitting there silently and enjoying it and make it look like it was a problem with the podcast, I thought I might as well relay it for the people.
Yep. And Woman is still flirting with Mean Gene.
Well, I know things are a bit crazy, but some things stay the same.
Yeah. Oh, now Mongo is telling the outsiders to grow eyeballs in the back of their head.
But this is
So
a
it's
declaration of war from the Horsemen. And there's Flair now to punctuate it. He says,
Hogan,
Hogan,
wherever you
watch
are,
this.
watch this.
And he's just absolutely destroying the booty man.
Flair's gone crazy. He's grabbed Mean Gene's mic.
And to think that the money that WCW could have made for years if they even remotely tried to put anyone as level to the New World Order.
Yeah.
But the beatdowns just got one-sided for so tediously long, didn't they?
Mm. And made the babyfaces look stupid and weak.
I don't know if you noticed recently on social media that Kevin Nash and The Rock were having a bit of a Twitter exchange, and Nash apologised to The Rock for the way he
For
conducted
being
himself.
a dick.
Well, one of the
Wasn't it?
things that stuck in my mind about around that time was how Kevin Nash would do some. He'd take some liberties in promos and that, wouldn't he? And there was that one time where The Rock called him Big Daddy Bitch, and he threw a massive tantrum apparently backstage.
Ah, okay.
And how glass chinned it was, someone who can do like the Arn Anderson impression and make jokes about alcoholism, and then like one little casual thing like Big Daddy Bitch makes him so upset. And it just goes to show what sort of mentality there were from the people all on one side of this script, but people who all have creative control. And it's no wonder it didn't come off like a proper story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, which is such a shame. Oh, now we're going to recap it all.
So yeah, we're being taken back to last week's Nitro. Jimmy Hart rushing to the camera, telling them to come to take the camera to the back.
I mean, this was a great start to it. I mean, it's such an ominous, such a different thing. You got a manager just coming and grabbing the cameraman, screaming for help, who's normally the most annoying man on the show, and he's making his heartfelt pleas.
And then he's on the apron. That's what trying to get the
Because
match.
no one's
to
listening to him.
stop.
Everyone's just like, yeah, fuck off, Jimmy. So it's like, seriously. This was the best part of it. I mean, there was a lot that was good. There were some parts, as we said, that didn't really have the desired effect. But this was one of my favourite parts. Trying to appeal to Lex Luger, who does have a little bit of,
Yeah.
There's a bit of a connection there.
So yeah, we now go to the back where they've got baseball bats. Scotty Riggs gets hit in the head with a light, and not a water cooler, as I mistakenly said before. There's the lawn dart to Ray.
He's taken some iconic bumps as Mysterio. Do you remember that time when the Big Show strapped him to a stretcher and baseball bats swung him into the post?
Yeah.
That was mental.
And there's also the time where the Giant eliminated him from the World War III Battle Royal with one hand, a bit like a lawn dart, actually.
We had Bianca Belair resuscitate that on the Saudi show, didn't we? And there's Savage on the roof of the limo.
I haven't seen the Saudi show. I don't watch them.
I watched the last two matches. In the end, they were okay. So at least we're going to get the condensed version of this time, because as those who listened to the last watch along we did will know, this ran very long. And there was a certain naturalism to it that really helped, but it also was a lot of dead air. So it really is a gamble in that situation, isn't it, Dean?
Yeah, and I think it's, as we said, short term, it's harmful, it's damaging, but long term, it certainly helped put this angle across as something that's, as a really, really big deal. And it's a really brave thing to do. I think they were able to do it because they're in a position where they've got weekly TV and their ratings. I mean, I think at this point in time they're still losing to WWF, but there wasn't any pressure on them to beat the WWF in the ratings at this point in time.
Oh,
That didn't happen
absolutely.
for another year or so, maybe. So they could afford to take this gamble, and it was a gamble, and I think it certainly paid off.
Would you argue that it was a bit of a lost leader? Maybe
Yeah, yeah,
it worked in that respect, didn't it? You
definitely.
sacrifice like half hour of your show. People might think, all right, this is dragging on, but then the legacy of it just runs and runs and builds to a much bigger storyline that dominated for how many weeks are in Eric Bischoff's podcast again?
83, yeah.
Not to suggest that Easy would be out dining on that one achievement from 25 years ago, but he still has a podcast named after the spell that he won.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be like me having a podcast called I Once Managed Terry Funk.
I always felt like that was only ever like a stone's throw away. I live in constant fear that you're going to jack this one in favour of starting off your own.
Welcome
I
to
envision
episode 104 of I Once Managed Terry Funk.
I envision the concept being basically you have random guests on who have nothing to do with wrestling, but they're all people called Terry,
Ah.
and you ask them, did you know I once managed Terry Funk? And they say, no, I did not. You say, well, I did. Now fuck off. And that's it. We're talking like 25 seconds per podcast. I'd listen.
For the person who doesn't have time to listen to a long podcast.
I just want to know that you managed Terry Funk
Yeah,
because you never filled me in on that. I'm left in suspense.
I see. So now Larry Zbyszko talking about the words of his former tag team partner Arn Anderson.
And the way that they infiltrated his cranium, which was a turn of phrase I really appreciated from Zbyszko.
What I don't appreciate from Zbyszko is the massive sweat patches on his torso.
Well, that new world order gets him so worked up, Dean.
Clearly.
Oh,
Oh, Neil Pruitt voiceover. The following announcement's been
good old
paid for
Neil.
by the NWO. What is going on here? Oh, look, it's
Mocking
Kevin
Lex
Nash
Luger.
taking the piss out of someone.
Yeah. Remember, he doesn't like that. Oh, only when it's him.
No. Yeah.
I think one thing we can say in retrospect through society is that someone who does funny things at someone else's expense and cannot make the same sort of human by himself is not actually that funny.
Mm. Oh, they're talking about billionaire Ted and the Atlanta Braves.
There you go. Well, they were swinging those baseball bats last week, weren't they?
He just talked about the crowning jewel. Once again, this is the time travel Nitro.
Obviously, it turned out that the Braves did not need a lot of bats this particular calendar year because they made the World Series. They made a lot of World Series in the 90s. Must have been something to do with WCW being in existence that inspired the Braves to do well. Although they've made their first World Series since 1999 this year.
Okay.
They're playing the Houston Astros, who like to cheat a lot.
Are they the Eddie Guerreros of Major League Baseball?
Sort of. They used to use a covert code by banging a trash can to tell their batters what sort of pitch that the pitcher was going to throw to give them a better chance of hitting it better.
Okay.
And it caused some massive scandal when they got caught. They would always argue that they weren't the only team cheating, they were the team who were caught cheating. which is probably true.
Okay.
But then
But
if you implore everyone to forget about one mistake, that's not going to go down well because it weren't a mistake. You fucking cheated.
but then if we learn anything from Jesse the Body Ventura, then it's don't get caught. It's saying cheating if you get caught.
Did you see the end of that video?
We've now got
The NWO propaganda video abruptly ended. Tony and Larry are like, "What's going on here?" When the camera's back on him, and the producer's gone in their headset and gone, "I'm here with Sting and Lex, and they've asked me to stop the video." They've gone to the truck to stop the propaganda video.
they're in the truck. So what we could hear before was the director talking in Shivani and Zabisco's headset. So Sting is now berating the production crew. But surely it said that it had been paid for by the NWO. It's a paid advertisement.
Yeah.
What's going on now? Something about going to Atlanta.
Sting is promising free pot pie and Mountain Dew, and I'm actually tempted myself. We've already said there's plenty of time travel going on. Can I go to Sting's trailer in 1996 for some pot pie and some Mountain Dew, please?
You go for it.
All right, I'll see you later.
You
Yeah.
said you said that you're running out of ideas for dinner. Well, pot pie and Mountain Dew it is.
Well, as long as I can order it, because I can't be bothered cooking.
Yeah.
Unless you fancy coming up to the big smoke and cooking for me.
It's an option.
It's an option you're going to say no to, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. Here comes Sergeant Craig Pittman with Teddy Long, and somehow he is challenging for the world title. I don't think we've seen him have a single victory on Nitro, but somehow he is now challenging for the world title.
That's because the sadists in charge of matchmaking have seen the Giants matches get shorter and shorter, and they want to see if he can break new records. So like, sure, Craig, you have a title match, go in there. I think you're going to make history. And like, yeah, it's the shortest match ever, history.
Greg the Hammer Valentine.
How short was that one?
It's about 2 or 3 minutes, wasn't it?
So I'm shocked the Giant didn't shoulder tackle that tree in the middle of the aisle and knock it over. So there's still a big element of mystery about where Eric Bischoff is. Would it possibly be fair to say this could potentially be the point in time when they got to Bischoff?
Ah. Quite
when
possibly.
The traitor, Hulk Hogan. I like that.
Yes. What a bastard.
So, out of all the matches on the show, Sting and Luger against the Outsiders is the most appealing to me by far.
Yes.
Even knowing there's a Benoit Malenko match on the card, I do remember very clearly that it was very badly received by the crowd. So there's much better Benoit Malenko matches to track down. And obviously everything involving Benoit these days is tougher to watch anyway.
Well, yes, there is that. Okay, so this isn't going to be a classic, I'm sure, but it's.
I strongly doubt it.
Pittman is looking cagey, as you can understand.
Is it fair to argue that Pittman has never had any value if he's not wearing that T-shirt he once wore that said "The beatings will continue until morale improves"?
Till morale improves. It is a great T-shirt.
Oh, why didn't they reproduce that?
I don't know. They missed the trick, didn't they?
Can't we just make a custom version?
Oh yeah,
We absolutely should.
definitely. Okay. So Giant is now in control already.
Tony Schiavone just said that Hulk Hogan is not going to try and win back the title by usual Hulk Hogan means. Somehow forgetting that babyface Hulk Hogan was cheating like a bastard anyway.
Raking the eyes, raking the back.
Like, I know he was a very popular and lucrative babyface, but in the grand scheme of things, he was a shitty babyface. He was not a hero.
Didn't he hit the Undertaker with his own urn? Oh, Craig Pittman is taking evasive action and has now done a flying headbutt to the midsection of the Giant, which doesn't really seem to be doing an awful lot. And now he's just run into what looks like it's going to be a choke slam. Yes, it is. Oh, he got up nicely for it, though. I
Yeah.
tell you something, he has taken that choke slam probably better than anyone.
He was always an awkward performer, similar to with Regal about style clashes with a lot of opponents, but I never thought he was terrible in the ring. As you saw, he was doing those headbutt lunges, wasn't he? He'd throw his body about there. Teddy Long is pleading for mercy, and I think it's going to
Is
earn him
Teddy
a
Long
tag
gonna,
team match player. He's going one-on-one with the chokeslam taker.
Oh, man. And that's why managers should always learn to take bumps, because Craig Pittman, who is twice the size of Teddy Long, got up twice as high as Teddy Long. And logically, Teddy Long should be much easier to lift, but he looks like he sandbagged him a bit.
Well, I mean, you could explain it away. He looked paralysed by fear. Because some of those headbutts he was landing, Pittman, he gave it a good go. It's definitely far, far worse in the history of wrestling than Sergeant Craig Pittman.
That was a great bump by Pittman.
I think that the Giants a little bit at fault there. You see him lose his grip.
Mm.
Oh, Mean Gene's going
Mean
to keep
Gene.
cracking on.
Yeah.
Mean Gene has
Teddy Long's a guy off the street.
Mean Gene has spent a lot of this show telling off the bad guys because they have reacted to the attacks of the New World Order by just being even more villainous, really.
Oh, the limo's coming
Another
back.
limo.
The limo is back from the florists with another delivery.
Maybe this time it's a little bonsai tree.
Oh.
Now Jimmy Hart's going to finish his promo.
And he's now looking shit scared and is literally hiding behind the Giant.
So, yeah, usual thing. Same as with the Horseman, same as with Flair. Sending a message.
Yeah.
He says he never said he was a nice guy, which is true. Getting those shades of grey here, Dino.
Like Jake the Snake, isn't it? In that famous promo, I always said I was a snake. Yeah, it's a mean edge to the baby faces, which has been brought about by the situations that they've witnessed, I guess.
He just even Giant just threatened Jimmy Hart and Mean Gene. He's like, I don't care who I beat up, whether it's you or you. The fear on their faces. Nearly frightened their respective tashes off their faces. He's talking very confidently for someone who's, about to go up against Hulk Hogan in a world title match.
He's talking very confidently for someone who's only been wrestling about 2 years.
Yeah. But we know like facing Hogan for the title is usually code for give me my vanity prop back. And that's not the main event.
No.
Still got Sting and Luger and the Nasty Boys.
Yes, Sting and Luger are making another appearance on this show.
I wonder if Brian Knobbs will try and talk and the closed caption won't pick him up again.
That was good. Oh, it's Glacier doing his doing his karate.
They've made him film another one for this as well, I reckon.
Live, yeah.
So shut up, Glacier. Do another take. See you again next week to do the same old shit.
I wonder how many takes this did actually need.
Glacier, coming soon. We didn't even say coming soon. I think they've given up all hope now, haven't they?
They just said Glacier. Yeah, we don't know when he's turning up.
Basically, the precursor to the Nitro girls dancing, isn't it?
Well, what's happened? We're getting a clip from Macho Man has the briefcase that Steve McMichael had previously had on Saturday night. And now the Nasty Boys have got it and smacked Sting in the ribs with it. Oh, so it was Sting and Savage against the Nasty Boys. That was the match.
And Brian Knobbs got donked over the head. Turnabout is fair play, like we said earlier.
Indeed. Savage is getting ready for the big elbow.
And this is the famous rotating studio from Disney, isn't it? That's such a great venue for a wrestling show, isn't it, this place?
Oh, was that a studio inside Disney then?
Yeah, remember when they used that sound stage in '93 for ages, and it would always like they'd revolve it, wouldn't they? The ring would spin round when it weren't being used.
Oh, okay.
You must remember that from the ITV Saturday afternoon days.
I don't remember the ring spinning.
Well, you call yourself a WCW aficionado.
I call myself someone with 5 concussions.
Fair enough.
Here come the Nasty Boys walking past the tree. I'm not sure if it was a slight mispronunciation or deliberate, and knowing Zabisco, probably deliberate. He just referred to the New World Order. So everyone coming out to their WCW Slam Jam music.
Your favourites.
Yay. So yeah, we're getting ready for a pay-per-view based entirely around Eric Bischoff having a jolly and going to the Harley Davidson Owners Convention on company money.
It's probably why he's not there tonight. He's probably already in Sturgis.
Yeah.
3 sheets to the wind, yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd like to think this is going to be the point of the show where we actually see the outsiders, given that they are doing the hard sell for, the Steiners are at it now.
Oh, with chairs. Rick Steiner looks like he's limping.
I'll have you know, you do not refer to him as Rick Steiner anymore, but the father of Bron Breakker.
Do I refer to him as Rick Breaker? Yeah.
Because heaven forbid you refer to his family lineage when someone else might one day potentially make money off of it.
Yeah.
And if they do, it'll be because they've drove Bron Breakker out the door like they drove so many other talents out the door.
Well, they do appear to be pushing him to the moon.
All right, push Bray Wyatt to the moon once, mate.
That's true.
Just the whole product is very strange. And I say it despite the fact that there's a very strong rumbling that in early September they're coming to the UK, which just so happens to be All Out weekend.
Oh.
Although that being said, you'll remember that WWE once seemingly at face value put an NXT UK takeover up against All Out, but it wasn't really because of the time zones. They ran
Yeah.
one after the other. If anything,
Yeah.
it was competing with Royal Quest New Japan that you and I attended.
Yes. That's right. It did, didn't it? It was on at the same time.
Those are strange
Yeah,
old days.
and then the AEW pay-per-view was straight afterwards. Yeah. Back in the days where you could go to an event without even thinking about it.
Lex Luger is a house of fire here.
Tags in Sting.
Crowd are very much into these two, but then they've been all over the show so far. So
Yes. And opposite the hard camera, you can see the Barbarian standing guard.
yeah, those guys have been diligent the whole show. They've done their job.
Mm. Well,
Love
Sting
how,
and Luger are dominating the match.
I love how the guys on the outside couldn't give them a toss that like Ric Flair was detaching Ed Leslie's leg from the rest of his body, or the Giant was choke slamming anyone with a pulse. But if those outsiders come near, they're in trouble.
Yeah. Well, everything else is domestic, internal WCW beef, whereas the NWO is outsider beef. It's different. Oh, big clothesline from Sags right into the right next to the camera. So he kind of had to connect there because otherwise it'd look really bad. So tables have turned. The baby faces are now being beaten up by the heels.
This is that point where we now have to pretend that the Nasty Boys can actually put Sting and Luger in hot water.
Yeah. Also, seeing as this is time travel Nitro, am I right in thinking that Sting is wearing Jacksonville Jaguar colours? Yellow and purple. I don't know. I'm not
No, it's not
an
Jags, is
NFL
it?
fan. I don't know. I'm not an NFL fan. I don't profess to be. Let me
You're just
check.
trying to be a conspiracy theorist. No, the Jaguars wear like a bottle green.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, it's green. Oh, never mind.
Maybe even turquoise.
Teal, black and gold. Apparently.
Oh, teal. Oh, I'm
Teal.
sorry for using the wrong word that begins with a T to describe the same bluey green. Never got that. It's the same. Turquoise and teal are the same thing, and you can't prove to me otherwise. If anyone tries to argue with me on this, but then I don't know, I'm just so rattled. Not having it. Not having it. That's clearly a trigger for me.
Clearly. We've had Mean Gene with his jacket. Is it beige or is it whatever it was? Pastel blue, sky blue. It's still the Nasty Boys in charge against Sting. Luger primed for the hot tag.
Sting as the face in extremely mild peril.
Mild peril. Yeah, the crowd aren't even bothering to chant for Sting. They don't buy this for a second.
I mean, Knobs and Sags have now run through their entire 5-move moveset.
They haven't done the pit stop.
I said moves,
But
not
that's more of a
disgraces.
But also, that's more of a babyface move. Yes, I know what I just said. That rubbing someone's face in your partner's armpit is a babyface move. Here comes Luger vaulting over the ropes and kind of drop kicking Sags in the chest at the same time.
I mean, they definitely did it as heels as well, to be fair. I remember that. If anything, it was probably the fact that they did it as heels that made it a thing when they first turned babyface. Them doing that established heel move to other heels, as I said, that's something that always gets a pop, isn't it? I've always been a big fan of
Yeah,
heels doing heel things to other heels. That's kind of where the intrigue is in the Horsemen getting nasty with the New World Order.
yeah.
You want to see
Well,
them
Luger
take a
got
baseball bat to them in the parking lot instead of
to
Dusty
them. Yeah,
Rhodes.
absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Luger got Sags up in the torture rack, but Knobs made the save, and we've now got. Oh, and now Jerry Sags accidentally clotheslined Rick Steiner in the back of the head, and Steiner's just Steiner-lined Sags on the floor. I don't know if the referee caught it, but that's the first interaction between a wrestler and a wrestler security, I guess.
Because heaven knows you have to protect the nasty boys here. And there's the Scorpion. That should be all she wrote.
That is indeed all she wrote.
I'm guessing that's to set up another tag team feud, but Jesus Christ. And the Nasty Boys were kind of baby faces, because they were feuding with the Public Enemy up until a couple of weeks ago, weren't they?
Yeah.
So now that's something they've just, although they kind of said in their thing that they stand alone, they're very much heelish now, especially in the program with the Steiners.
Okay, so we're going to a commercial break. They're showing us the limo still there.
Because what better way to finish this broadcast than with another Mean Gene segment and another Sting and Luger segment?
Yeah.
Because I'm presuming Sting and Luger are going to be in the ring.
You,
Yeah, they
you
still
presume correctly.
are. Huh.
We got two little kids in the ring for no apparent reason. And a nice plug for Sting and Luger's gym in Atlanta there, Main Event Fitness Center.
So we don't have long of this show left, but it looks like we're getting a. There's no sign of the outsiders yet either.
No, so is it a go home promo?
Yeah. Another limousine is here. Feels like deja vu this segment, doesn't it? Now Sting's asking
Luger
the
is saying
crowd.
there's no way. Luger says no way they're going to be in there. And Sting is now saying, shall we go check it out? Is he falling for the trap?
That's what Sting does. He
They are.
falls for every trap
Yeah.
known to
Oh, well,
man.
that's true. What, like a human-sized box that contains a human?
Yeah. And a clear 1-on-3 scenario when he's being antagonised by MJF. So even at the ripe old age of 62, he's the same old gullible schmuck.
This is not a rib. They are going down to open the. Mean Gene is coming with them to the limo.
And it
Well,
looks
isn't
like
this
the
exciting?
wrestler securities are going to go as well. I saw some
Yeah.
making a move. Oh, we're going to have a run in that.
And
It's a Schiavone. We are out of time.
what's happened? A bag has been thrown. Someone slammed the
It's a little
door, and
bag.
what a shit house ending.
At least show us what's in the.
a bag with Turner on it. Oh, we've got an after the show exclusive on the
Oh wow,
network
we're
now.
treated here.
Ray was right. There are 4 guys, or are there 5? See you in the Sturgis.
5 guys. A WCW deal with the burger joint has been confirmed. There are
Now, when
5
did that
guys.
burger? Hang on. When did the burger joint open up?
Yeah, probably after it. But don't look. It's the time travel episode. Remember?
Time Travel
It's okay.
Nitro.
So get me some seasoned fries.
Oh no, the first restaurant opened in 1986, but rapid expansion wasn't until 2003.
Yeah, we didn't see them over here until like 2013, did we?
Something like
Maybe
that.
a little
Yeah.
sooner.
This is Lance Storm, and if I can be serious for a minute, you're listening to Because WCW.
So yeah, basically bugger all happened there. But there you go. That brings Nitro to an end. Well, not a classic, but I think a thumbs up still.
Yeah, it was good enough. It was like a joke we always made where certain segments are kind of bleh. And it's like, what do you think of it? Yeah, thumbs up. Yeah, mild thumbs up, I'd say.
Yeah.
They've driven home the most of the points they wanted to make. There weren't really too much inspiring. I mean, the most inspiring in-ring product we saw was watching the non-NWO heels just absolutely splatter people.
Mm.
And even though it seemed weird at the time, there was a bit more of a point to Ric Flair happily watching his guys cost him a win by DQ because they wanted to go out of their way to just absolutely destroy Ed Leslie for
Yes.
having a vague semblance
Vague
of a
connection to
connection.
Hogan.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, fair play. Right, well, that brings this episode of Because WCW to an end. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter at Because WCW or on Facebook, facebook.com/Because WCW. Our website, BecauseWCW.podbean.com, has all 104 episodes available, or you can download them from wherever you get your podcasts from. We'll be back very shortly with either another watch along or maybe even a guest pay-per-view review. Who knows? We planned these in advance as much as they planned Nitros in advance. But until then, thank you so much for downloading and listening. Please do rate and review us on iTunes. Please do subscribe to us. We'll be back very shortly. So on behalf of Liam Happ, this is me, the Twisted Genius, Dean Ayers, saying I'll see you ringside.